My mom laid down the law. Anyone who wants to marry me has to fork over $50. So my sister went around telling everyone, sure, my little brother is a bit chubby, a little dark, and on the shorter side. But he's still total husband material. Hearing this, her girlfriends were absolutely horrified, dodging me like the plague. That is, until one day, when a strikingly handsome guy showed up at a banquet with Su Wanru. At that moment, her friends absolutely lost their minds. This is the guy you said was chubby and dark? And short? Turns out, Su Wanru was notoriously possessive of her little brother. Terrified that her besties would steal me away, she went around telling everyone I was short, ugly, and cheap. Because of that, I hadn't gone on a single date since I turned 18. My adoptive parents were worried sick. What kind of wife are you even looking for? She'd say, anyone who wants to marry my precious baby brother has to treat him even better than I do. Back then, I just buried my face in her embrace. So she never saw how completely flushed my face was. She had no idea that she was the one I was totally in love with. My feelings for her went against everything society accepted, so I kept it a deeply guarded secret, until she found out. That night, the woman who had always spoiled me rotten slapped me for the very first time. Have you no shame? She screamed. The very next day, she announced her engagement to my best friend. Don't forget to come to my wedding with Jingyan. Reading that text, I cried until I had absolutely no tears left. Right at that moment, the family reunion agency gave me a call. They told me they had found my biological parents. That was when I finally made up my mind to leave her forever. I called my real parents halfway across the world. Mom, Dad, I want to move overseas and live with you. Hearing me say those words, on the other end of the line, my parents burst into tears of pure joy. Oh, thank God, Xiao Yu. If it hadn't been for that awful earthquake, our family would never have been torn apart for all these years. We're coming to bring you home right now. Hearing that, a strange, bittersweet ache washed over my heart. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my overwhelming emotions. Just give me 2 more weeks, okay? I still have a few things to tie up here. Once I'm done, I'll fly straight to you. Yes, of course, we're just getting ahead of ourselves. The Su family did raise you all these years, after all. And we heard your older sister spoiled you rotten since you were a little boy. You really should give them a proper goodbye. Just hearing Su Wanru's name made my heart skip a painful beat. When I was 6 years old, a massive earthquake separated me from my parents. I was eventually placed in the foster system and adopted by the Su family. They were a genuine, old money, wealthy household. My adoptive parents were always swamped with business. Even though they took me in, they barely paid any attention to me. So honestly, instead of saying the Su family raised me, it's far more accurate to say that Su Wanru raised me. When I was 7 and terrified of thunder, she would hold me tight, singing lullabies until I fell fast asleep. When I was 10 and jealous of my classmates' snacks and toys, she went and bought out the entire school store for me. She pampered me like a little prince, making everyone insanely jealous. When I was 14 and passed out at home with a terrible fever, she was the one running up and down the stairs to fetch hot water, spoon-feeding me my medicine herself. No matter what I wanted, she would always move heaven and earth to bring it right to me. Everyone around us always teased her for being obsessively protective of me. But what nobody knew was that through all those lonely nights we spent relying only on each other, I had completely fallen for Su Wanru. But I was too terrified to confess. All I could do was secretly pour my heart out in my diary, or vent about my feelings to my best friend, Song Jingyan. But I never, in my wildest nightmares, imagined that Jingyan would actually go and betray my secret. When Su Wanru suddenly burst into my bedroom that night, with a dark expression, she dug out that diary and tore it to shreds. She threw the shredded pages right at me. Before I could even say a word, she slammed the door and stormed out. After that, she did everything she could to avoid me. We stopped seeing each other, and even if we occasionally crossed paths, the look in her eyes was freezing cold. Like she was looking at a total stranger. I wanted to ask her what was going on, but instead, I caught Su Wanru pinning Song Jingyan against a corner, kissing him passionately. I guess for a lot of things, fate had already written the ending. Destined that Su Wanru and I would never have a chance together. Destined that my years with the Su family were just a fading dream. Now, it's time for me to get back on my own path. So, I made a decision. A decision to go back to my real home, and to finally let go of my years of feelings for Su Wanru. That day, I went downstairs early, watching my adoptive parents warmly calling me over for breakfast. I gave them a sweet smile, and then brought up the fact that I had found my biological parents, and decided to move abroad to be with them. That is wonderful news. Xiao Yu, Mom is so happy that you found your real family. Have you told your sister about this yet? I froze for a second. Should I tell Su Wanru? Right now, her mind is completely on Song Jingyan. Whether I tell her or not, what difference does it make? What do you need to tell me? I snapped my head around, just in time to see her standing right at the doorway. It's nothing, sis. You're back. Hearing a title she hadn't heard in so long, Su Wanru's footsteps paused. She couldn't help but give me a deep look. When did it start? When did I stop calling her sis? Was it at 18, 15, or even earlier? And now, I was calling her sis again. Su Wanru's eyes darkened, staring intensely at me for a long moment, as if sensing that something about me had completely changed. After quite a while, she finally lowered her eyes and looked away. She walked over and placed the gifts she was holding onto the table, and said flatly, Mom, Dad, these are the gifts Jingyan bought for you. Just a little something from him. Jingyan always gets us such wonderful gifts. Did you thank him for us? Wanru, next time you visit Jingyan's family, make sure to bring that tin of black tea from the cabinet. And if you're free this weekend, invite him and his parents over for a visit. They were clearly getting ready to discuss marriage. I just sat there, silently watching them. A deep wave of loneliness washed over me. I dug my nails into my palms, then quickly let go. In that moment, I felt it more clearly than ever. I was just an outsider to them, but I wouldn't have to worry about this anymore. With that thought, I calmly stood up and walked back to my room. Hearing the noise, Su Wanru glanced up from chatting with our parents, only to see my back disappearing behind the door. Is it just my imagination? Since he got back, he's only said a single sentence. That's really not like him at all. That afternoon, I took my household registry to the police station to transfer my residency. But the moment I came downstairs, I saw Song Jingyan sitting right next to Su Wanru, smiling warmly as he watched her peel an orange. Su Wanru's slender fingers nimbly peeled the orange. She carefully picked off the white pith bit by bit, split it in half, and offered a piece to Song Jinian's lips. Song Jinian's cheeks flushed slightly as he glanced at her. He obediently took the orange from her hand with his lips. Su Wanru let out a soft chuckle, then pulled a tissue from the box next to them, gently wiping the corner of his mouth. Is it sweet? Song Jinian nodded, picking up a slice and holding it out to her. Here, you try some too. Watching their intimate little moment, I quietly looked away and headed for the door. Xiao Yu. I turned back and saw him waving at me. Wanru has the day off today and we're planning to go to the park. Do you want to come with us? You two are on a date. I really shouldn't intrude. We're all family here. What's there to intrude on? I actually have some things to take care of. Maybe next time. Hearing me turn them down again, Song Jinian's smile instantly froze. Xiao Yu, are you still mad at me for stealing your sister? Is that why you don't want to hang out with us? You were the one I always liked. So how could it be stealing? That single sentence made Song Jinian's ears turn red. Su Wanru giggled softly and threw herself into his arms. If he doesn't want to go, just let him be. After all, we'd be going our separate ways soon enough anyway. I politely said my goodbyes to the two of them, turned around, and walked out the door. After finishing the paperwork to transfer my household registration, I walked out of the police station and headed straight to the racing club. One entire wall in the office was completely covered with our trophies, awards, and all kinds of photos from our past races. My eyes filled with nostalgia and reluctance as I looked at them. I never expected the goodbye to come so suddenly. My coach walked in from outside and patted me on the shoulder. Looking at the mentor who had guided me for 10 years, the sorrow I had just swallowed down choked me up all over again. I dug my nails into my palms and took a deep breath. Coach, I'm moving abroad. My biological parents finally found me, and I want to settle down with them overseas. Hey, that's great news. But will you still keep racing after you move? Racing has always been my dream, and I'm not just going to give it up like that. I'll definitely keep racing over there. So, are you leaving right away? The biggest national race is about to start, and you have a really solid chance of taking the championship this time. I've already talked it over with my parents. I'll wrap things up here before I leave. I still have about half a month, which is just enough time to finish this race. Hearing that, my coach finally breathed a sigh of relief and patted me on the shoulder again. We stayed and chatted for a little while longer. It was pretty late by the time I grabbed my bag and headed home. But the moment I pushed the door open, I realized Song Jinian was actually still there. Listening closely, I realized they were in the middle of discussing their wedding plans. There are so many suits and wedding dress styles. I'm getting completely dizzy trying to choose. I was thinking we should have Xiao Yu help me decide. After all, we've been best bros for years. He knows exactly what I like. Right as he said those words, I stepped into the house. Xiao Yu, your brother-in-law is stressing out over this. Why don't you spend the next few days helping him pick out the wedding stuff? I looked at Song Jinian. His eyes were crinkling with a happy smile, but the moment his gaze met mine, his smile turned into a smirk. I looked down, thinking for a moment, before turning him down again. Sorry, I'm busy. I still have things to handle at the club. I only have 2 weeks left. Before I leave, there's still a lot I need to wrap up. I simply couldn't go shopping with Song Jingyan, but the moment my refusal left my mouth, The atmosphere instantly went cold. Your absolute best friend is getting married. Can't you just put your own stuff on hold for a bit? It's settled then. I'll go request time off for you tomorrow. If he used his status as my elder to force my boss to give me time off, what right would I even have to say no? Hearing this, a bitter smile tugged at the corners of my mouth. I stayed quiet. Over the next few days, I had to put everything else on hold, dedicating all my time to tagging along with Song Jingyan to pick out his wedding stuff. I thought he'd just browse through a department store and be done with it. I never expected him to drag me from the south side of town all the way to the north. From something as big as a wedding dress, down to something as small as a wine glass, he wanted me to make the final call. Whenever I suggested he send someone to ask Su Wanru for her opinion, he'd just huff, "Why bother asking your sister? She's such a busybody. Aside from throwing money at me, she doesn't know the first thing about this stuff. You're the only one who truly gets my taste." Last time, I asked her to come pick out wedding rings with me, and guess what? She just had an entire display case of rings sent straight to my house, telling me to pick whatever I wanted. He whined to me, but his eyes were brimming with a smugness he couldn't hide. I listened in silence, not giving him the jealous reaction he was hoping for. Song Jingyan was just about to say something else when he caught a glimpse of a woman at the door. "Wanru, what are you doing here?" I looked up, only to see him run over and throw himself into Su Wanru's arms. "Didn't you say you wanted to visit the mountain temple outside of town to pray? I took half the day off just to come pick you up. Xiao Yu has been keeping me company these past few days, so why don't you tag along with us?" Su Wanru didn't even spare me a single glance. She just picked up the bags of things we bought and walked out. Following the distant, echoing chimes of the temple bell, the thick fog began to clear, revealing the breathtaking mountain scenery right outside the temple. I kept my head down, carefully watching the stone-paved path beneath my feet, taking it one step at a time. "What's this?" His sudden voice snapped me out of my thoughts. I looked up and saw Song Jingyan standing right in front of a Bodhi tree, closely inspecting the wooden wishing plaques hanging from its branches. "May Xiao Yu be filled with joy every year. May all his wishes come true. May Xiao Yu be blessed with a life free from sickness and suffering. May everyone he meets treat him with kindness. May my sweet boy, Xiao Yu, be safe and sound every single day." With devotion, Su Wanru. I just stared at those wishing plaques, my heart trembling in my chest. My mind drifted further into the past. Ever since that massive earthquake, my health had always been incredibly fragile, constantly getting sick. Hoping I would recover quickly, Su Wanru used to come to this temple every single week to hang a wishing plaque for me, praying for my health and safety. I just never expected that over all these years she had actually hung up so many of them. Today, all those plaques were still hanging on this very tree, but Wanru and I could never go back to how we used to be. "You two sure have a tight bond. It makes me feel like a total third wheel." Song Jingyan couldn't bear to read another word. His face went ice cold as he turned on his heel to leave. "Stop being dramatic. What do you mean, third wheel? You're my husband. He's just my little brother. If it upsets you, I'll have someone take these down." After saying that, Su Wanru turned her head and ordered the staff to rip off all the wishing ribbons from the tree. One after another, the ribbons fell to the ground in quick succession, casually trampled on by everyone. Smeared with mud, soon enough, the tree was covered in brand new wishing ribbons. On them were nothing but sweet love notes Su Wanru wrote specifically for Song Jingyan. Only then did Song Jingyan finally smile again. He shot me a smug, triumphant look. "Won't Xiao Yu get mad if you do this? How could a little brother ever be more important than my husband?" That completely won Song Jingyan over. On the drive back to the city, he clung onto Su Wanru the entire way. I sat alone in the back row and closed my eyes. Just as I was about to rest, the car suddenly accelerated wildly. I snapped my eyes open. Just as I was about to ask what was going on, a deafening crash suddenly exploded in my ears. The car completely gave out, smashed right through the guardrail, flipped over multiple times, and finally wedged itself dead in a ravine. My head slammed brutally against the seat back, making my vision go pitch black in waves. By the time I regained consciousness, I saw that my entire body was pinned tightly in the seat. A tree branch had viciously pierced right through my arm, and beside me was Song Jingyan, who was also knocked out cold. He actually looked perfectly fine, just fainted from the pure shock of it all. Su Wanru, in the driver's seat, reacted fast. She shattered the window first, and crawled her way out of the wreck. She stumbled a few times before she finally found her footing. She took one cold glance at me, suffocating in sheer agony, and then at the unconscious Song Jingyan. With only a split second of hesitation, she hauled Song Jingyan onto her back. "I'm taking Jingyan first. I'll send someone back for you later." Throwing that over her shoulder without even checking my face, she rushed off with him on her back. It was as if she was absolutely terrified he'd suffer even a scratch. The very moment I decided to give up on her, I told myself I would never shed another tear for her ever again. From now on, I'd only live for myself. But as I lay there, trapped alone under the car in that desolate valley, I couldn't help but think back to the devastating earthquake years ago. Back then, I was also buried under the ruins, surrounded by nothing but pure darkness underground. I was crushed under there for 3 days and 3 nights. Later, after being taken in by the Sioux family, I had nightmares about those earthquake days every single day. I would sob and violently tremble under my blankets. Back then, Sue Wanru would always rush straight into my room, pull me tight into her arms and whisper, "Don't be scared, my sweet boy. Big sister is right here. From now on, I won't let you suffer even the slightest bit of harm." But today, I could only watch helplessly as she walked further and further away until she vanished from my sight completely. The sky turned darker and darker. I waited, but Sue Wanru never came back. I let out a bitter, heartbroken smile, forcing myself up with every last ounce of my strength. And completely ignoring the excruciating pain, I agonizingly dragged myself out from under the car. Then, clenching my teeth, I viciously yanked out the thick branch impaled in my arm. Finally, I started crawling outwards, inch by bloody inch. I have no idea how long I crawled, but I ultimately made it to the main road before completely blacking out. When I woke up again, I found myself lying in a sterile hospital bed, my hand heavily wrapped in thick bandages. My last fuzzy memory was being rescued by a kind-hearted stranger passing by, and from the moment I was admitted until now, Sue Wanru hadn't come to visit me even once. I heard from the nurses that she's looking after Song Jingyan, even though he only has minor injuries. Yet she booked out an entire hospital floor just so he could recover in peace. Hearing that, I subconsciously looked down at myself, at my heavily bandaged arm. It reminded me of the time I was hospitalized for a simple cold. Sue Wanru acted exactly like this back then, treating it like a matter of life and death, staying by my side every single second. The day I was discharged, a lot of friends came to pick me up. Among them was a girl who used to have a crush on me. Looking at the bouquet of flowers she held out, my first instinct was to decline. But she nervously cut me off. "Xiao Yu, please don't overthink this. These are just to celebrate your recovery. I know you're leaving very soon. I just want you to be well from now on." Hearing that, I paused for a moment before thanking her. But the moment I turned around, I saw Sue Wanru standing right at the door. She rarely ever lost her temper, but right then, her face was completely dark. She stared at the flowers in my hands with eyes as cold as ice, then abruptly turned and walked away. I stood there, stunned and entirely confused. I had no idea why she was so angry, but I didn't dwell on it. Once I got home, I put the flowers in a vase. Suddenly, there was a knock on the front door. I leaned against the wall, slowly made my way over, and pulled the door open. Sue Wanru's face appeared right in front of me. Ever since she found out about my feelings for her, our relationship had hit rock bottom. She hadn't knocked on my door once since then. So, why was she here now? I was just about to ask, when she suddenly threw her arms around me. The unexpected embrace made me stumble back a few steps. The next morning, as soon as I walked out of the guest room, I saw Sue Wanru marching toward me, frowning. "Why was I sleeping in your room?" Seeing that she had completely forgotten about last night, I opened my mouth to explain. But the woman coldly cut me off. "Did you carry me in there? Xiao Yu, I've told you before. There is absolutely nothing between us. Besides, I'm getting married soon. When will you finally give up?" I froze, and slowly lowered my head. I didn't say a single word. What was the point of explaining anyway? Loving her was my original sin. And right now, in her eyes, absolutely everything I did was wrong. Seeing my red eyes and my silent, downcast face, Sue Wanru's breathing grew noticeably heavier. She was just about to step closer to me, when a gentle male voice echoed from outside. "Wanru?" He walked right in, and just as he smilingly reached out to hug her, his smile suddenly froze. "Wait, why is your lip cut?" "It's nothing, probably just a mosquito bite." She instinctively touched her own lip, then shot me a deep, unreadable look. For the rest of the week, I didn't see Sue Wanru alone again. She was far too busy keeping Song Jingyan company, and I had to focus on my training. One day, just as I was getting into my car at the racetrack, my coach suddenly walked over with Sue Wanru and Song Jingyan. "Let me introduce you all. This is our new racer, highly recommended by Miss Sue. Everyone, give it up for Song Jingyan." Amidst the applause, the coach looked right at me on the edge. "Xiao Yu, you're going to mentor Jingyan from now on." After the introductions, the coach respectfully led Sue Wanru and Song Jingyan away to handle their paperwork. The moment the doors closed, everyone started whispering. I heard Song Jingyan wanted to join our club back then, but his skills just weren't up to par. They didn't take him, but wow, you really have to hand it to Miss Sue. Just one word from her, and he just waltzed right in. Think about back in the day, we had to jump through so many hoops just to make the cut. We just can't compete with that. The jealous remarks kept coming, one after another. I spaced out for a second. Nobody knows Su Wanru better than I do. She's always been cold and principled, a total stickler for the rules. Even with all her power, she's never abused her privileges. Yet now, she's breaking her own rules for the very first time, all for Song Jingyan. It looks like she really likes him. And just like that, Song Jingyan officially joined the club. And I ended up being his senior. I stuck to my master's words, SPI, and trained him as seriously as I could. NRAAMCS. But Song Jingyan just wouldn't listen to me. NRAAMCS. Not only was he incredibly half-hearted every single time, I mean, completely half-hearted. But he also made up all sorts of excuses to skip practice every single day. King 6. X, and the very first thing I saw was Su Wanru. I didn't look any closer. I just calmly closed the window and went back to training. I got home really late, and the first thing I saw was Su Wanru standing right at the front gate. The look on her face was completely unreadable. It seemed like she was waiting for me. I walked over, about to ask her what was going on, when I heard her coldly confronting Xiao Yu. Can you please stop targeting Jingyan all the time? If you don't like him, just say it straight to his face. I was already exhausted, and after hearing her say that, a massive wave of mixed emotions instantly hit me. I felt so wronged, heartbroken, and completely helpless. I didn't even have to guess. Song Jingyan definitely added fuel to the fire. And fed her a bunch of lies behind my back. I didn't even try to explain myself. I just walked right past her and went straight back to my room. From then on, I went a lot easier on Song Jingyan. Which only made him even more smug. He'd show up at the club every day, clock in, and immediately walk right back out. The others were absolutely furious and wanted to confront him, but I held them back. I just shook my head. This is Song Jingyan's own life. If he fails the assessment, he's going to get kicked out anyway. He has to take responsibility for his own choices. Besides, I don't even have the time to train him anymore. I thought that would be the end of it. But I never in a million years expected Su Wanru to suddenly come to me, demanding that I give up my racing spot for Song Jingyan. I didn't even register it at first. It took a moment before I finally looked up at her, my eyes flashing with ice-cold fury. You're telling me, to give my spot to him? I tried my absolute hardest to keep my emotions in check. But I still couldn't hide the trembling in my voice. He's your brother-in-law, after all. Besides, it's just a single competition spot. Racing, is it really that big of a deal? Racing, Su Wanru, you know exactly what racing means to me. It was as if something had viciously gripped Su Wanru's heart. She seemed to remember all those years, remembering how, time and time again, for the sake of racing. I pushed myself to the absolute limit in training. Her hand suddenly clenched tight. Her hand suddenly clenched tight. SPN in the end, she didn't say anything else. SPN. She just turned and walked away in silence. Ever since Song Jingyan, thanks to a single word from Su Wanru, joined the club, everyone gradually split into two different factions. One side followed my lead, grinding hard and fighting for our own goals. The other side backed Song Jingyan, slacking off from training all day long. And only thinking about how to kiss up to Song Jingyan. Ducati, just obsessed with kissing up to him. Cha KS, just so he would put in a good word for them in front of Su Wanru. And score some extra perks. Our two groups had never clashed head-on. That was, until after training today. Xiao Yu, there's a section I don't quite get. Could you teach me? I subconsciously frowned. Just as I was about to speak, Song Jingyan's lackey behind him suddenly shoved me. What's your problem? Our Jingyan is kindly asking for your advice. So what's with that attitude? What are you guys trying to pull? I'd like to ask what Song Jingyan is playing at. He had all that time during training, but didn't ask then. He just had to wait until it was over to ask. Is he doing this on purpose? I didn't want to start a fight, so I pulled at my friend beside me. But the guys opposite us thought we were scared, and their words got even nastier. Ha, are you scared, idiots? Let me tell you, our Jingyan is the future lead driver of speed racing. Xiao Yu, being able to teach him is your damn privilege. You're just an orphan. If you piss our Jingyan off, you better watch out, or he'll kick you right out. As the shouting went on, I don't know who threw the first punch, but the two groups were instantly tangled together, brawling it out. In the chaos, Song Jingyan suddenly appeared by my side and shoved me hard. I was already standing right at the edge of the high platform. And just as I was about to fall over, I grabbed onto Song Jingyan, dragging him down with me. We both plummeted off the high building together. Screams erupted all around us. The scene descended into absolute chaos. By the time Su Wanru rushed over, we were just about to be wheeled into the operating room. Seeing the terrible state the two of us were in, Su Wanru's face went completely pale. Her usually calm voice trembled with a hint of panic. How is the situation? Miss Su, both Mr. Zhang and Mr. Song fell from the high platform. Both of their legs are broken. Furthermore, Mr. Zhang was crushed underneath Mr. Song, so his condition is much more severe. Currently, there is only one dose of the specific medicine to treat the broken legs. But Mr. Song will recover fine even without it. Should we give it to Jingyan? Before the doctor could even finish his sentence, Su Wanru cut him off. Her tone absolutely resolute, hearing her cold, unyielding voice. I, having just woken up from the excruciating pain, felt like I had been struck by lightning. She clearly knew. She knew exactly how important a racer's legs are. The doctor clearly said that Song Jingyan's legs would be fine even without the medicine. I forced myself through the agonizing pain, and using every last ounce of my strength, I cried out, begging her. Sister, no, I'm begging you, please give the medicine to me, okay? It's fine if you don't like me. It's fine even if you abandoned me at the bottom of the mountain for a whole day and night. But you clearly know how important my legs are to me. I can't lose my legs. I still need to chase my dream. Please. As I reached the end, I broke down crying uncontrollably. Huge, crystal clear teardrops rolled down my pale cheeks and fell away. Seeing the boy who used to never shed a tear no matter how badly he was hurt, now crying so brokenly, Su Wanru's hands resting at her sides couldn't help but clench tight. Just as she was about to speak, Song Jingyan, who had passed out nearby, was also woken up by the pain. Remembering the agonizing pain in his legs from the fall, he also burst into terrified tears. Wanru, my legs hurt so much. Please save me. Hearing this, Su Wanru shook off my hand, and immediately hurried over to hold Song Jingyan. Be good. I'll have the doctor give you the miracle drug right now. With no hesitation left in her eyes, she rushed the doctor to inject the cure into Song Jingyan. Watching this unfold right beside them, I desperately pushed my broken body toward them, foolishly hoping to snatch the syringe right out of the doctor's hands. But my shattered legs weighed me down like dead weight, leaving me completely paralyzed. The freezing needle pierced deep into Song Jingyan's leg. I could only watch helplessly as the cure slowly flowed into his veins. 3 days later, I finally woke up from my coma. This time, I saw Su Wanru sitting right by my bed. She looked completely exhausted, with deep, bloodshot eyes. The moment she saw me wake up, she reached out with shaking hands to help me up, but I just turned away and dodged her touch. Her hands just froze stiffly in midair. After what felt like an eternity, she slowly pulled back. Her voice was tight and hoarse as she whispered, "Your legs will still be able to walk normally. You just won't be able to race ever again. But it's okay. I'll take care of you from now on. Jingyan is my fiancé. I couldn't just leave him to suffer." I knew I should be feeling a million different things right now. Absolute anger, despair, unbearable heartbreak. I should be screaming my lungs out. But as all those feelings piled up inside my chest, all that was left was complete exhaustion. Please, just get out. A suffocating silence filled the hospital room. Finally, Su Wanru stood up, leaving me with a quiet "get some rest" before slipping out the door. The second the heavy door clicked shut, I stared down at my ruined legs, and finally broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. My dream of being a pro racer was crushed to absolute ashes. Ever since the doctor gave me the life sentence that I could never race again, I slowly turned into a hollow, walking corpse. I stopped crying, I stopped smiling. I just sat in my chair, staring blankly out the window. That is, until the day of the championship arrived. Completely ignoring the protests from the Su family, I dragged myself to the racetrack and took a seat in the very back row. I looked out at the familiar track, watching Song Jingyan steal my spot and drive out onto the circuit, soaking up the applause and glory that were supposed to be mine. When the race finally ended, Su Wanru rushed up to him with a huge bouquet of flowers. The whole crowd swarmed around to congratulate Song Jingyan, while I was the only one left, sitting quietly in the shadows, watching people celebrate, and eventually scatter away. I don't even know how much time passed before I finally forced myself to stand up, and walked over to them. Seeing me approach, Su Wanru instinctively threw herself in front of Song Jingyan to protect him. "If you're angry, take it out on me. Just, don't hurt him." "I'm not angry," I replied flatly. "I'm just here to give you guys a present. Follow me." Dropping those words, I turned and walked right out of the arena, and the very second they stepped outside, a brilliant firework shot straight up into the night sky, exploding in a massive burst of light. Firework after firework lit up the darkness. A flash of utter shock washed over Su Wanru's eyes. The next second, she heard my calm voice. "Su Wanru, do you remember the very first time I ever won a racing trophy? You lit up the entire sky with fireworks just for me. You told me you wished that for the rest of my life I would always shine brightly and live as free as the wind. Today, I'm returning those fireworks back to you. I wish you and my brother-in-law a long, happy life together." Growing old in love, the very second the word brother-in-law left my lips. Su Wanru's pupils shrank in absolute shock, her eyes darting straight toward me. It was the very first time I had ever publicly called Song Jingyan my brother-in-law. I could see her heart clench in sudden panic. Before she could even get a single word out, I had already turned my back and walked away. On the eve of their wedding, the entire Su family estate was buzzing with chaotic preparations. Late at night, the downstairs was brightly lit. Su Mu was directing the nanny, decorating the bridal room with wedding supplies. Upstairs, a single light was also on in my room. I sat on the carpet, slowly gathering all the gifts Su Wanru had given me over the years, and putting them into a large box. I packed away those gifts one by one, then picked up the heavy stack of boxes and slowly walked down the stairs. In the dead of night, the entire house was filled with festive decorations. Every single corner silently reminded everyone that this home was about to welcome a new master. I stopped looking at the decor in front of me, and walked outside carrying the boxes. Right at that moment, I bumped straight into Su Wanru, who was just returning from the Song family. "What are you doing?" "Just throwing out some useless junk." Watching my back leave without a hint of hesitation, her heart suddenly tightened. Ever since that incident happened, I had become a completely different person. I could no longer drive race cars. She thought I would throw a tantrum and cause a scene, but I was incredibly calm. It was a calm that was almost terrifying. I turned around to look at her, and the next second I heard her say, "Lin Yan said he really hopes you can be his best man at the wedding. He is my brother-in-law now, not my brother. It's not appropriate for a junior like me to do that. You guys should just find someone else." After I finished speaking, I stopped looking at her and walked outside step by step. It wasn't about being inappropriate, but rather because on the day they got married, I would be leaving. The night before the wedding, I held a box and specifically went to find my uncle and aunt. "Mom, Dad, I won't be able to attend my sister's wedding tomorrow. My biological parents booked me a flight that happens to leave tomorrow morning. I am leaving tomorrow. Why is this so sudden?" "It's not sudden. I should have left a long time ago. Inside is the money I have saved up over all these years. The amount is exactly enough to pay back for the 15 years that the Su family spent on me." I smiled and shook my head, pulling a thick stack of envelopes from my pocket and handing them over. Seeing this, Father and Mother Su shook their heads repeatedly, trying to shove the money back to me, but I firmly pushed their hands back. "Please, you absolutely have to accept this." Then, I knelt on the floor, solemnly and forcefully bowing my head to the ground 3 times for the 2 elders. "Mom, Dad, thank you so much for your love and care over the past 15 years. I will never forget your kindness in raising me for as long as I live. From now on, I won't be able to stay by your side. I just hope you stay healthy and live a long and blessed life." When I raised my head, my eyes were brimming with tears, and a little bit of blood showed on my forehead. On the day of the wedding, Su Wanru was supposed to leave for the ceremony, but she lingered and didn't move. Instead, she just kept pacing back and forth outside the bedroom door. Staring at the tightly closed door in front of her, Su Wanru's heart suddenly ached. She couldn't shake the feeling that she shouldn't leave, because if she did, she would lose something incredibly important. "Sister, what's wrong?" Pushing the door open, I saw Su Wanru standing right outside my room. The distant and cold look in my eyes made her heart violently skip a beat again. "Why don't you come with me?" I froze. Go with her to do what? Go watch her and Song Jingyan flaunt their love? I subconsciously glanced at the watch on my wrist. "I don't have the time. I still have things to take care of. I'll just meet you guys at the wedding venue later." Su Wanru opened her mouth to argue, but downstairs, her mother was already urging her. "Wanru, the auspicious hour is almost over." Faced with my cold refusal and her parents' constant nagging from below, Su Wanru still stubbornly refused to leave. It wasn't until the shouting grew louder that she finally forced down the rising panic in her chest. "Before the wedding starts, you need to come find me. I have something to tell you." I didn't say a word. I just kept my eyes cast down, completely detached. But Su Wanru was desperate for an answer, repeating herself one more time. "It's really important. You have to come see me." Seeing that she wouldn't leave unless I gave her an answer, I had no choice but to lie and nod. "Fine, I got it." That finally seemed to give her some peace of mind. She slowly moved her hand away from the door and turned to leave. I watched her walk downstairs and step into the wedding car. Everyone else quickly piled into the cars behind her. Finally, the ceremonial cannons went off. The fleet of wedding cars drove further and further away, slowly shrinking in my line of sight, until they disappeared completely. Happy wedding, Su Wanru. And goodbye, forever. With that said, I grabbed the suitcase I had packed ages ago and went downstairs. I walked out the door, heading straight for the airport, step by step. My back was resolute. I never looked back once. The wedding between the Song and Su families was huge news in the capital. Countless people had come out early, lining both sides of the street where the motorcade would pass. They were waiting for the Su family to toss out wedding candies, shouting out endless words of blessing. But inside the wedding car, Su Wanru inexplicably couldn't feel happy. She kept thinking back to how violently her heart had pounded outside my door this morning. That creeping panic started setting in again. It felt like she was missing something crucial. Since the Su family held a much higher status than the Song family, Su Wanru had actually come to pick up the groom herself. The Su family didn't give a damn about ancient traditions. They just wanted the whole world to know that Song Jingyan was incredibly lucky to marry Su Wanru. Their daughter was marrying down, not climbing the social ladder for some wealthy alliance. Meanwhile, the Song family was fully decked out in festive decorations. Draped in lucky red silk, a few of Song Jingyan's groomsmen were standing out on the balcony, keeping a lookout for the Su family's motorcade. Finally, as the clock struck 11, the fleet of cars slowly rolled into view. The guys excitedly rushed over to Song Jingyan. She's here, Miss Su has arrived." After a loud burst of traditional wedding music, Su Wanru finally carried her bridal bouquet up to the second floor and stepped into Song Jingyan's room. Looking at Su Wanru standing there in her beautiful wedding dress, Song Jingyan couldn't hold back his overwhelming excitement. He was finally going to marry the girl of his dreams. After the usual lively wedding games, Su Wanru and Song Jingyan finally settled into the back of the wedding car, heading straight for the banquet hall. Along the way, Song Jingyan kept stealing glances at her. He wasn't sure if it was just his imagination, but ever since she picked him up, she seemed completely out of it. He reached over and gently tugged at her dress. "Wanru, what's wrong? Is something on your mind? You don't seem very happy." I was just thinking about getting married today, so I was too nervous to sleep last night." Hearing that, Song Jingyan didn't overthink it anymore. With his arm gently around her shoulders, the wedding car pulled up to the hotel. The two of them went into the lounge to rest, chatting together for quite a while. Only then did Su Wanru get up and step out the door, remembering the words she had said to me this morning. She quickly called for the butler, asking him to go and bring me over. Before I arrived, a sudden wave of confusion washed over her heart. She wanted to have a talk with me, to tell me that from now on, Song Jingyan would be my brother-in-law. And that no matter how I felt about it inside, I shouldn't show it in front of Song Jingyan. Even after Song Jingyan moved into the Su household, I could still live at home. I wouldn't have to move out. Because in her heart, I was still her little brother. She had rehearsed so many things to say, even imagining exactly how she would start the conversation. But, when she saw the butler return completely alone, all those words instantly turned into pure panic. "Where is Xiao Yu?" The butler opened his mouth, but didn't know how to speak. You see, when Su Wanru sent him to find me, he just so happened to bump into my adoptive parents coming upstairs. Upon hearing what he was doing, Mother and Father Su exchanged a heavy look. Doing the math, they knew I should already be on a plane by now, and with the wedding about to start. If Su Wanru went looking for me right at this moment, she would definitely uncover something terrible. Plus, it would absolutely ruin the wedding schedule. So, they made the butler lie to Su Wanru. He was to tell her that my old leg injury was acting up, and I had no choice but to go home and rest. To make sure Su Wanru bought it, they even went out of their way to fetch a note I had written before, but had never actually given to her. It was in my exact handwriting, saying that I wasn't feeling well and had headed home early. Su Wanru took the note, her brows furrowing tightly together. She just couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. But just as she was about to speak up, someone called out, "The wedding is about to begin. The bride needs to get ready." Su Wanru pulled back the foot she was about to step out with, and turned to walk toward the wedding hall instead. Watching her walk away, the butler quietly let out a heavy sigh of relief. A graceful piano melody began to play. Su Wanru looked at Song Jingyan waiting at the end of the aisle, and slowly walked toward him. Song Jingyan wore a bright, undeniable smile on his face. But for some unexplainable reason, a sudden thought crossed her mind. What would it look like, if I were the one wearing that groom's suit? I've always been so mischievous, I probably wouldn't even wear a traditional tuxedo. Instead, I'd wear my favorite black and gold. And I definitely wouldn't be like Song Jingyan, just standing there waiting for her to come to me. Instead, I'd practically jog over to meet her with a spring in my step. My face wouldn't have that shy little smile like his, either. I'd flash her a bold, wide, and completely open grin, and then intimately wrap my arm right around her shoulder. Perhaps she was just far too lost in this little fantasy. So much so that when the officiant asked if she took the groom standing before her to be her husband, she subconsciously blurted out my name, and she was still holding the microphone. The speakers blasted her voice across the entire banquet hall. The guests were stunned for a second, before bursting into whispers. "Wait, isn't Xiao Yu the adopted son of the Su family? Why on earth is the eldest Miss Su saying Xiao Yu's name?" The parents on both sides, sitting right in the front row, completely froze. Mother and Father Su instinctively looked at her, their hearts racing with panic. How could their daughter screw up at such a critical moment? Mr. and Mrs. Song's faces turned pitch black, immediately whipping their heads toward the Sus, demanding an explanation. And up on the stage, hearing Su Wanru call out my name, Song Jingyan's face turned pale as a ghost. Gripping his pant leg tightly, he spoke with a trembling voice. Wanru, what are you saying? He subconsciously reached out to grab Su Wanru's hand. They were just one crucial step away from officially becoming husband and wife. Why did she have to call out Xiaoyu's name? If it were like before, Su Wanru would have immediately snapped out of it and smoothly brushed off this little hiccup. But right now, she was just staring down at the guests off stage. Whether they were strangers, or familiar faces, the one figure she desperately wanted to see just wasn't there. The next second, ignoring everyone screaming for her, she bolted right off the stage and sprinted toward the exit. Countless people were shouting her name. Some were furious, some were heartbroken, and some were in total despair, but she never looked back. She rushed straight out of the wedding venue. Song Jingyan instinctively tried to chase after her, but his vision suddenly went pitch black. And he collapsed straight to the floor. The entire scene erupted into massive chaos. Su Wanru hopped into her car and slammed on the gas pedal, speeding straight toward the Su family mansion. Thinking back to that look in my eyes this morning, and that note with the yellowed edges the butler had given her, along with the sheer guilt hiding in the butler's eyes, a horrible feeling of dread washed over her. The car screeched to a halt right at the Su family's door. Before she could even park it properly, she was already marching into the villa. Those 2 flights of stairs, she bounded up them in just a few huge steps. She rushed right to my bedroom door, shoving it wide open. It was completely empty inside. Even all of my belongings had totally vanished. Su Wanru's face froze over. She tightly grabbed a passing maid. Where is my brother? The young master grabbed his suitcase and left bright and early this morning. The maid was scared half to death by her. The terrible feeling in Su Wanru's heart grew intensely heavy. She shoved the maid aside and was about to dash downstairs, when she ran right into Mother and Father Su coming back in a fiery rage. Stop right there. Su Wanru struggled, trying to break free and escape, but unexpectedly slipped and tumbled down the stairs. Seeing this happen, Father Su's eyes rolled back into his head, and he nearly passed out on the spot. Today was supposed to be a wonderful and joyous day, so who knew it would turn into such an absolute circus? The Su family rushed Su Wanru to the hospital for emergency treatment, only to suddenly hear the doctor say she was already 1 month pregnant. Hearing this news, the overjoyed Song family crowded completely around Su Wanru's hospital room. They genuinely thought this marriage alliance was totally ruined, but against all odds, there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Su Wanru was carrying a baby of the Song family, so there was absolutely no way she could run away now. The happiest person in all of this was definitely Song Jingyan. He never could have imagined that God would treat him so well, blessing him with a child at such a critical, life-saving moment. When Su Wanru finally woke up, she found everyone hovering over her, treating her like she was some heavily guarded VIP. Wanru, you are pregnant now. You absolutely cannot be taking these kinds of risks. Now that you are awake, you need to go and apologize to Jingyan. You running away at the wedding made everyone gossip and point fingers at Jingyan. Like hell Su Wanru was going to agree to do that. She had to find me. She desperately needed to know where I went. Su Wanru sat bolt upright from the hospital bed, ready to storm out and look for me. But Father Su was not about to give her a single chance to find anyone. He waved his hand, ordering the guards to step forward and restrain her, but she fought back fiercely, refusing to let them grab her. Father Su was so incredibly furious he stumbled backward. You ungrateful daughter, what on earth are you trying to do? You are literally pregnant. How can you just run around like a maniac? Where exactly did Xiaoyu go? Her eyes were red and tearing up, her tone filled with desperate pleading. Remembering what the nanny had just said, Su Wanru's heart raced faster and faster. Why are you asking about that? The most important thing right now is to hurry up and come with me to apologize to the Song family. Seeing that her father refused to answer, Su Wanru tried to push past him and head outside. Grab her. A group of people swarmed forward, forcefully dragging her right in front of Song Jingyan. Do you have any idea what day it is today? Are you out of your mind? Running away right in the middle of your own wedding. How are the Song and Su families supposed to ever show their faces again? Su Wanru, if you didn't want to marry my son, you should have just said so. Why completely humiliate our family at a time like this? How is my son supposed to live after this? Su Wanru clenched her hands tightly, pressing her lips together in absolute silence. Just then, the hospital room door was pushed open from the inside. A deathly pale Song Jingyan was wheeled out with his eyes tightly shut. His mother couldn't care less about anything else, hurriedly rushing to her son's side to check on his condition. Why did you run away from your own wedding to find Xiaoyu? Thinking back on her daughter's series of strange behaviors today, an impossible thought suddenly popped into her head. Su Wanru clenched her fists tightly, completely at a loss for words. What was she supposed to say? That she started frantically searching for me, just to tell me that I had to treat Song Jingyan as my brother-in-law from now on? But when she found out I had disappeared, her heart was instantly overwhelmed by sheer panic. She desperately wanted to find me, but what would happen even if she did? Her mind was suddenly flooded with so many memories of me, the happy times, the sad and broken times, and that look of complete relief on my face this morning. Gradually, all these images merged into that one memory, the day my diary was discovered. And I finally gathered the courage to confess to her. Sister, I love you. A sharp ringing pierced her ears. She couldn't help but press a hand tightly against her own chest. You went looking for Xiao Yu. Is it because you suddenly realized you've fallen for him? As someone who had experienced love herself, seeing her daughter acting like this, that impossible thought became glaringly obvious. If it were in the past, Su Wanru would have immediately denied it. But today, when she didn't see me at her wedding, and couldn't find me when she returned home either, she panicked and wanted to find me right away. That deep affection she had buried so long ago completely shattered the earth, growing into a towering tree of emotion. He is your younger brother. How could you even entertain such twisted thoughts? The very words she had once thrown at me were now being repeated back to her by Su Mo 3 years later. A crushing wave of sorrow surged from her heart. Today, she finally understood just how incredibly hurtful those words really were. It was just love, just a silent crush, words that were never even spoken out loud. It doesn't matter how much you love him now. Xiao Yu has already gone abroad to find his biological parents. He is never coming back. Xiao Yu found his biological parents? Why didn't he tell me? Why did he hide it from me? Do you seriously not know what you've done? Su Wanru's face drained of all color. She suddenly remembered everything from this past month. To keep Song Jingyan happy, she tore down the wishing charms I had hung up, abandoned me all alone in the middle of nowhere, and even gave my only life-saving medicine to Song Jingyan, destroying my chances of ever racing again. Her face turned deathly pale as she stumbled backward, almost collapsing right onto the floor. Everything around her began to blur into nothingness. All I could hear was my racing heart and heavy breathing. I don't care what you used to think. You are married to Jingyan now. You're going to be a mother. Put those old thoughts away and focus on living a good life with him. Even though Su Wanru had run away in the middle of her wedding, everyone, including both the Song and Su families, tacitly accepted Song Jingyan as the Su family's son-in-law. Su Wanru opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but suddenly her vision went pitch black, and she collapsed hard onto the floor. By the time she woke up again, she saw Song Jingyan sitting right beside her, crying his eyes out. What happened today was a massive blow to him. A wedding is supposed to be the most important moment in a person's life. But the woman he loved had run off for someone else. How was he supposed to show his face in public after this? On top of her fainting at the wedding, they had just found out Su Wanru was pregnant. The doctor had just told him that because she had suffered such a massive shock, she might not even be able to carry the baby to term. Thinking about all this, he cried even more bitterly, and his resentment toward me grew even deeper. Ever since we were kids, he could never beat me at anything. Even though the Song and Su families were of similar status, his parents still lusted after the Su family's wealth, forcing him to suck up to me, trying to snatch up whatever scraps they could get from us. Meanwhile, everything in the Song family was strictly reserved for his younger brother. He had absolutely nothing. Even the person he was supposed to marry had to be someone who could benefit his brother's future. At first, the person his parents picked for him was a hot-tempered, divorced rich woman. He had to throw a massive tantrum, crying, screaming, and threatening to kill himself, just to make his parents drop the idea. To completely kill off their schemes, he had to find someone himself. And as luck would have it, I had secretly confessed to him that I had feelings for Su Wanru, even though he knew I was just the adopted son of the Su family. Something like that would obviously be seen as scandalous by outsiders. So, he turned right around and snitched to Su Wanru. He originally just wanted to crush my fantasy of climbing the social ladder, but unexpectedly, to completely kill my hopes, Su Wanru actually asked him to play along and act as her lover. Naturally, he seized the opportunity. After all, compared to the women his parents were trying to force on him, Su Wanru was a million times better. So, he shed some tears in front of her, put on a pitiful act pretending to think only of her, and Su Wanru couldn't help herself. She fell right into his trap. 1 time, 2 times, and eventually, they got married. But who would have thought that Su Wanru would actually run away from the wedding for me? This was an absolute humiliation for him. His parents were furious at him for being too useless to keep her. But in front of the Su family, they still played the victim just to milk even more guilt out of them. If it had been before, Su Wanru would have immediately pulled him into her arms to gently comfort him. But right now, she was just staring blankly at the ceiling. Seeing this made Song Jingyan even more frustrated, even though he knew they only got together in the first place because Su Wanru wanted to use him to make me mad. To make me give up and stay the hell away from her forever. But now, he had given her everything, and they were legally married. Yet, she was still thinking about me. Wanru. Su Wanru stared at him coldly. His face turned pale. Just as he was about to say something, Su Wanru glanced down at her own stomach. The doctor had just told her that she was already 1 month pregnant, but he had used protection every single time, except for that one time when our car flipped into the ravine. In her rush to comfort Song Jingyan, they didn't have time to use protection. Just that one time, if I hadn't left, having this baby wouldn't have been a bad idea, but now that I was out of the picture, there was no need for this child anymore. Whether it was Song Jingyan or this baby, they were just tools Su Wanru used to completely crush my hope. Besides, now that he had finally realized his true feelings for me, there was even less reason to keep the baby. I am getting an abortion. Those 5 short words made Song Jingyan shoot up from his seat. But before he could even utter a word, Father and Mother Su barged into the room. Father Su furiously scolded Su Wanru. Then, his eyes rolled back, and he passed out cold. Meanwhile, after being escorted to America by the people my real parents sent, the first thing I saw at the arrivals gate were my biological parents, clutching flowers and looking around nervously. I looked so much like my mother. Reuniting after 15 long years, the 3 of us held each other in a tight, desperate embrace. Sobbing uncontrollably, my mother wiped away her tears, but the moment she looked at me, they started falling all over again. After we got home, she held my hand tightly, refusing to let go for even a second. "Oh, my sweet girl. When you were born, your dad and I named you Xingchen." "It's okay, Mom. I'll go by Xingchen from now on. After all, I've completely cut ties with the Su family. I'm not a part of them anymore. It's only right that I take my biological parents' surname." My mother nodded, overwhelmed with emotion. Suddenly, she looked down at my legs. "Xingchen, now that you're in America, do you still want to race cars? If you do, Mom will go contact a racing club for you right now." I completely froze, staring blankly at my legs. My eyes suddenly welled up with tears, and they started streaming down my face one by one. Seeing me suddenly break down, my mother panicked, thinking she had accidentally touched a painful nerve. She quickly hugged me and apologized. "I'm so sorry, Xingchen. If you don't want to go, we just won't go, okay? Mom, it's not that I don't want to race anymore." I told them everything, how Song Jingyan pushed me off that high platform, how Su Wanru gave the special medicine to him, and everything else that had happened. When I mentioned the doctor declaring I could never race again for the rest of my life, I threw myself into my mother's arms and broke down completely. Even though so much time had passed, bringing it all up again made me realize I still couldn't accept this cruel reality. My mother was furious, yet her heart ached for me. She comforted me for a long time. It wasn't until I fell into a deep sleep that she quietly slipped out of the room and made a phone call back to China. "Old Meng, I have something I need your help with." Ever since Su Wanru got pregnant, Song Jingyan had moved into the Su family home. He took care of her like she was made of glass, giving her absolutely everything she asked for. He never cooked the same meal twice. Under the meticulous care of the Su family and Song Jingyan, Su Wanru's face gradually grew fuller and healthier. The only downside was Song Jingyan. Even though he and Su Wanru had held a wedding ceremony, they hadn't actually registered their marriage yet. So, legally speaking, they still weren't husband and wife. Today was Mother Su's birthday. No matter how much Su Wanru didn't want to go home, she had no choice but to show up. But when she arrived, instead of a lively celebration, she saw everyone gathered in a circle, pointing and whispering. A sudden wave of panic washed over her. She quickly pushed her way through the crowd, only to see Mother Su desperately shielding Song Jingyan, trying to stop the police from taking him away. After asking around, she found out the truth. When I fell from that high platform back then, it was deliberately caused by Song Jingyan. I always used a camera to record my training sessions, so I could review the footage later to improve. That day, right before my argument with Song Jingyan, I had originally gone over to turn the camera off. I didn't expect that being pushed down by Song Jingyan would get caught right on camera. And even if it hadn't been recorded, so many people saw it happen with their very own eyes. My friends originally wanted to go straight to the police, but because of Su Wanru's high status, they were stopped by the club's top management, who strictly forbade them from reporting it. It wasn't until today, through a cross-ocean phone call all the way from the United States, that this whole thing was finally dragged back into the light. At the exact same time, the fact that Su Wanru gave the special medicine to Song Jingyan, along with the 20.399 series of terrible deeds, completely ruined the Su family's reputation 10,000 times over. The head police officer of Task Force 20.359 was getting a massive headache over it. But right at that moment, a loud honk sounded from behind the crowd. Everyone immediately turned their heads, and they saw a stern middle-aged man step out, walking right up to Su Wanru. The man pulled out a special warrant. "Su Wanru, you are suspected of framing someone. You need to come with us." And without even waiting for her to agree, he just waved to his men behind him. Several officers swarmed in, and shoved her right into the police car. Seeing this happen, Mother Su screamed and tried to rush over to stop them. Father Su finally snapped out of it, and quickly grabbed her back. That middle-aged man's status was way out of their league. Their family simply couldn't afford to mess with him. Meanwhile, the other police officers didn't hesitate either. They grabbed Song Jingyan and hauled him straight into the police cruiser. The crowd slowly scattered, leaving behind a total mess. Mother Su's legs gave out, and she collapsed to the ground. Father Su hurried over to pull her up, but Mother Su's vision went completely black, and she passed out cold. Inside the dim interrogation room, the middle-aged man sat across from Su Wanru. He held a piece of paper, listing out her crimes one by one, reading the legal statements. The more Su Wanru listened, the more familiar it sounded. She felt like all these things were exactly what she had done to me. She had once asked Mother Su about the identity of my biological parents, but they had always looked absolutely terrified, and totally avoided the topic. When the middle-aged man brought up how she gave the special medicine to Song Jingyan, which caused Ambassador Sha's son, Xiao Yu, to permanently lose his ability to drive a race car, she finally realized that Ambassador Sha's son was actually me. She got so worked up, trying to jump to her feet, desperate to confirm this fact with the man across from her, but the officers behind her pinned her down hard. The middle-aged man just gave her an icy glare and announced her punishment. Meanwhile, Song Jingyan was in an even deeper mess than Su Wanru. During their investigation, they found out that Song Jingyan had intentionally hurt people more than once. Aside from me, there were quite a few others who had rubbed him the wrong way, and ended up being harmed by him too. Even though the Song family was super wealthy and powerful, and could have bailed him out, the fact that he committed so many crimes, and messed with someone he never should have messed with, made them completely give up on saving him. In the end, the Song family had to pay off the victims with a massive amount of money just to settle things. The Song family was absolutely furious about this, taking all their anger out on Song Jingyan. They completely cut ties with him, leaving him to fend for himself with a heavy heart. In the very end, Mother Su stepped up out of the kindness of her heart, and brought him back to their home. Mother Su used to really adore Song Jingyan, thinking he was so gentle and sensible. She loved that he could actually make her cold daughter smile. Every single time he visited, the house would be filled with laughter. But now, after seeing all the horrible things he had done, she couldn't even force a smile for him. Just looking at him gave her a major headache. Ultimately, she just shoved Song Jingyan into the guest house next door, sending over a few nannies to take care of him. And even reminded the nanny, just keeping him alive is enough. Don't worry about anything else. Obviously, not too long ago, Song Jingyan was still the guy everyone envied. But overnight, he fell from grace. He became the villain in everyone's eyes, and everyone avoided him like the plague. He threw tantrums, he refused to accept it. But the nanny sent by Mother Su couldn't care less about his temper. I suggest you give up on that idea. If it weren't for the fact that the miss is carrying your child, the Su family wouldn't even give a damn about you. Song Jingyan thought about the baby in Su Wanru's belly, and finally forced himself to calm down. After all, he had absolutely nothing left. This child was his only lifeline. He had to make sure Su Wanru gave birth to this baby safely. Thinking of this, he stopped struggling and obediently finished the rest of the porridge in his bowl. Meanwhile, in the room downstairs, ever since Su Wanru was demoted, with no idea when she could return to her team, she slumped helplessly onto the floor. Her legs sprawled out carelessly, and her hands hung limply by her sides. Her eyes had lost their usual spark, looking dull and empty. The nanny carried a huge box inside, and placed it right in front of Su Wanru. "Miss, the recycling center sent these back. They said it's the stuff the young master threw away back then. Because the items were too valuable, they didn't dare to just throw them out. So they sent everything back exactly as it was." Hearing that it was the stuff I had thrown away, Su Wanru's lifeless eyes suddenly lit up. "After I left, every single thing in my room had been thrown out, including the family portrait we took back then." She had searched every corner of the house, but couldn't find a single trace of me. Su Wanru desperately pulled the box toward her, maybe because she hadn't moved in so long. Her grip was weak, and the box ripped wide open. Everything inside spilled out onto the floor. When she finally saw what was inside, her eyes went wide. It was entirely filled with the gifts she had given me. That little teddy bear in her hands was the welcome gift she gave me on my very first day at the Su family. Back then, I was so terrified that I couldn't sleep for nights on end. It was Su Wanru who would sneak into my room, holding that bear and telling me bedtime stories. She even said the bear was her little avatar and that it would stay there to protect me for her. Those leather shoes over there, they were the very first birthday gift Su Wanru ever got me. She had someone specially custom make them for me from overseas. As for the rest of the boxes, they were all the birthday presents she gave me over the years. Every year, right at midnight on my birthday, when the clock struck 12, she would bring the gift she had carefully prepared and leave it right outside my bedroom door. She never missed a single year. That is, until I turned 18 and she found the diary where I hid all my deepest feelings. After that, she never gave me another gift. Su Wanru looked at them one by one, the pain in her eyes growing deeper and deeper. I had taken incredibly good care of all these gifts. If it weren't for the slight yellowing from age, anyone would have thought they were brand new. She reached out with trembling hands, gently stroking each and every one of those gifts. Suddenly, as if she spotted something else, she pulled a diary out from the bottom of the pile. Looking at the pages completely covered in tape, she instantly knew. This was the very diary she had torn to pieces. Back then, the little boy who always loved calling her sister suddenly started calling her by her full name. She just thought I was growing up and had my own secrets, so she never really thought much of it. It wasn't until Song Jinyan secretly cornered him and spilled every last bit of my feelings for him that he finally realized I had been in love with him all along. At first, he was just shocked, but that quickly turned into fear. I had actually shared my deepest, most private secrets with Song Jinyan. And Song Jinyan was never one to keep a secret. If he ever blabbed about this to the world, forget about just the two of us, the entire Su family would suffer a devastating blow. So, before the secret could completely blow up, he decided he had to nip my feelings right in the bud. He didn't even remember how he barged into my room, or how he violently tore my diary to shreds. By the time he snapped out of it, all he saw was my broken, tear-stained face. In that exact moment, he really panicked. But then, he remembered what was written inside, and that fleeting panic quickly morphed into pure anger. From the very first day you stepped into the Su family, I've only ever seen you as a little brother. How could you harbor those kinds of feelings for me? If you want to keep staying in the Su family, then bury those feelings right now. Otherwise, this will blow up into a massive scandal, and everyone will know. You'll drag the Su family name through the dirt. His hand gently traced over the torn diary. He could completely picture it, after he stormed out. How I must have sobbed until I completely broke down. And then, exhausted from all the crying, how I carefully taped the shredded pages back together, piece by piece. Maybe the pain was just too much. The pages were still covered in wrinkles from dried tears, the saltwater soaking and blurring the ink. So many words were completely unreadable now, but he could still feel it. He could still feel the intense, overwhelming love I once had for him. So that was why I refused to give up back then. Why I tried again and again to win him back. But he just couldn't accept it. Just the fierce backlash from Mr. and Mrs. Su alone would end up hurting me all over again. So, to brutally sever any lingering feelings I had, he decided to find someone to put on a show. And the moment Song Jinyan heard his plan, he eagerly volunteered himself. Looking at Song Jinyan's frail, trembling body, a wave of tender pity washed over him. But only much later did he realize that every single bit of this was part of Song Jinyan's twisted scheme. After that, everything fell perfectly into place. He and Song Jinyan grew closer and closer, while the love in my eyes for him faded more and more. The very first time he stayed out all night for Song Jinyan. When he held Song Jinyan's hand and announced their engagement and eventually their wedding. The love in my eyes shattered completely. All that was left was coldness and distance. That was the absolute last trace of emotion I had for him after my heart died. Back then, he was actually so relieved. Relieved that I had finally stopped loving him. But now that he finally realized his own agonizingly late love for me, it was tearing him apart. A crushing sorrow filled the entire room, as he clutched my torn diary to his chest and broke down in tears. Jincheng Airport. It had been exactly 6 months. I was finally stepping foot on this land again. Back when I left for the States, I honestly thought I would never, ever come back. 12-16, but who would have thought that after just 6 short months, WA004675, I would already be returning home. PS5, SCK07. This time, I came back in my mother's place to attend her mentor's birthday banquet. My mother couldn't make it back because of work, so she sent me instead. To make sure I was completely safe, she even went out of her way to ask my cousin to fly back with me. I had only been gone for 6 months, but looking at everything in front of me now, it honestly felt like a lifetime had passed. Beside me, Sha Jiacheng couldn't stop gasping in awe. He grew up in the States, so this was his very first time back in the country. Right before our flight, my mother gave another old friend back home a call. We asked him to take good care of us. So, after leaving the airport, We didn't go to a hotel. Instead, we were picked up directly by the GU family. The GU estate was located in the south of the capital, surrounded entirely by wealthy and influential families. And not far from the GU estate, the home of my mother's mentor, was exactly where I used to live. Looking at the familiar street view, I spaced out for a second. I had walked this road countless times. When I was 6, I was taken back to the Su family home, and this was the exact road we took. When I was 15, because my training ended too late, Su Wanru came to pick me up, and we also took this road. On the day Su Wanru got married, I watched her wedding car drive down this very road. And finally, dragging my suitcase, I walked down this road to the airport. As I was lost in my memories, a large hand suddenly appeared in front of me and waved at my face. That snapped me back to reality. Why are you spacing out? Oh, it's nothing. The car came to a smooth stop in the GU family's courtyard. As soon as we got out, Mrs. GU came over to greet us warmly. We quickly took out the gifts we had prepared and handed them to the servant nearby. After a round of pleasantries, Mrs. GU led us to our prepared rooms. Both of our rooms were on the first floor. You could see the beautiful backyard garden just by sliding open the glass doors. After unpacking, we chatted with Mrs. GU for a bit, then grabbed our gifts and walked over to the Feng family's estate to visit my mother's mentor. Before leaving, we told Mrs. GU not to save dinner for us. Mrs. GU nodded, reminded us to stay safe, and watched as we walked away. The distance from the GU estate to the Feng estate wasn't too far. But Sha Jiacheng was someone who couldn't sit still. He kept bugging me to tell him stories about the capital. Even though I had lived in the capital for 15 years, my life was just a straight line between the club and the Su family. I rarely went anywhere else. Not to mention, after Su Wanru found out about my feelings for her, I hardly ever went out, except to visit a temple out in the mountains. Once he heard there was a temple to visit, Sha Jiacheng wouldn't stop pestering me to take him there when I had time. Sha Jiacheng had always loved wandering around since he was a kid. Back in the States, my aunt could at least keep an eye on him. But after coming back here, he was running around like a wild monkey. I really couldn't handle his whining, so I just nodded and agreed. Wait until we're done with Grandpa Feng's birthday banquet, and then I'll take you. Sha Jiacheng finally let go of my arm, looking completely satisfied. When we arrived at the Feng estate, the servants were already bustling about, getting everything ready for the birthday banquet. When the butler saw us, he immediately and warmly welcomed us inside. In the living room, I instantly spotted Grandpa Feng sitting on the sofa. I placed the gift I had prepared on the table. Grandpa Feng, on behalf of my parents, I wish you endless years of peace and 3,000 years of joy. Jiacheng and I also wish you boundless longevity and eternal youth. This barrage of warm wishes made Grandpa Feng burst into happy laughter. He patted the armrest of his chair and quickly urged us to take a seat on the sofa. He asked with concern, "How have your parents been these past few years?" "They're doing great. It's just that due to work, they couldn't make it to your birthday celebration." "Oh, that's totally fine, it's the thought that counts. As for you, go take him out for a stroll, and come back for dinner tonight. You young folks should get out and explore more. I'm too old to walk around now." We chatted for a little while longer before bidding the old man goodbye. Following Feng Ziyu outside, the three of us had a fantastic time chatting along the way. Right at the best part of the conversation, Feng Ziyu suddenly slapped his forehead. "Man, I almost forgot about this. It just so happens I booked a session at a racing club about 2 weeks ago. I was planning to go learn and mess around on the track. I remember Xingqin used to be a racer, right? Why don't you guys help me check if this club is any good? If it sucks, I'll just find another one." But the moment they heard this, the two of them suddenly froze. "What's the matter with you guys? We probably can't make it. Because of some past stuff, my brother doesn't want to step foot on a racing track ever again." "Oh, that's totally fine, we just won't go then. You guys are my guests. I've got to make sure you arrive happy and leave completely satisfied." After saying that, he asked the nearby butler to cancel with the club, and then took us to a park on the other side of town. Meanwhile, over at the racing club, Song Jingyan was busy instructing the trainees on the simulators. Thanks to him, the club had been completely dragged through the mud. One after another, members were transferring out to other clubs. Because their reputation was entirely ruined, fewer and fewer wealthy people were bothering to join. In the end, it was their coach who had to pull a ton of strings, just to rope in a few rich folks willing to invest in the club. Right while everyone was practicing in full swing, the coach suddenly stormed in with a pitch-black expression. He aggressively clapped his hands. "What the hell are you all still practicing for? Just pack it up and go home." Faced with the coach's sudden outburst of rage, everyone looked at each other in pure shock. Even Song Jingyan, who had been sitting back in his chair, immediately stood up. He slowly walked over to the coach. "Why are we suddenly stopping practice? How the hell should I know?" The Feng family just sent someone over to tell us they aren't coming to visit anymore. They won't be investing a single dime in our club anymore. The second those words dropped, it was like a drop of water hitting boiling oil. The whole crowd erupted into frantic, panicked whispers. Some of them even burst out crying out of sheer anxiety. Oh my God, they had been counting on that exact funding to support their training and upcoming competitions. Hearing the endless groans of despair all around him, Song Jingyan's face grew paler by the second. He dug his nails fiercely into his own palms, and demanded, but why? Damn it, how the hell should I know? Song Jingyan didn't even know how he stumbled out of the club. The scorching afternoon sun stung his eyes fiercely, but he acted like he couldn't feel a thing. He numbly dragged himself back home, only to bump right into Su Wanru, who was just about to head out the door. He subconsciously blurted out, "Where are you going? None of your damn business." Su Wanru couldn't care less. She just kept brushing past him toward the outside. Just moments ago, her mother had received an official invitation from the Feng family, inviting them to Elder Feng's birthday banquet. Normally, it would never have been her turn to go, but she had secretly eavesdropped on her mother holding the invitation and saying, "Ambassador Sha's son is also going to be there." After the explosive incident the other day, everyone knew that Ambassador Sha's son was actually me. Realizing that she could finally see me again, she threw all caution to the wind and was sneaking off to the Feng family estate to try her luck. Desperate to see if she could bump into me. "What do you mean it's none of my business? I am your husband. We never got our marriage license. And the wedding was never even finished. You are not my husband." After spitting out those words, she didn't even spare him a second glance and walked right out. Song Jingyan gritted his teeth and secretly trailed right behind her. He knew exactly why she was in such a desperate hurry. She was rushing off to see me. Feng Ziyu took me and Sha Jiacheng out for quite a while, and our group didn't head back until we had thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. But right as we reached the front gate, I spotted a terribly familiar figure. Ever since the exact moment my heart went completely dead for Su Wanru, I never wanted to see her face ever again. So I instinctively tried to take another path. But sharp-eyed Su Wanru spotted me right away. "Xiao Yu," I let out a heavy sigh. Sure enough, I still couldn't avoid her. I turned my head, shooting a cold glare at her. Su Wanru instinctively reached out to hug me, but she was forcefully blocked by the two men standing in front of me. If this were the past, Su Wanru would have just told them to get lost. But now, she didn't have the standing to do that anymore. Not to mention, out of these two men, one of them was Elder Feng's grandson. She absolutely could not afford to cross him. "What do you want with my brother?" As for what Su Wanru had done to me before, he had heard a thing or two. When they returned to the country, his mother had repeatedly warned him to be on high alert against the Su family. Especially Su Wanru and Song Jingyan. Su Wanru was caught off guard by the question. She opened her mouth. What was she even supposed to say? Say that she only realized her true feelings after I left, and now she wanted to win me back? As for Song Jingyan, she could just kick him to the curb. Anyway, they weren't even legally married. She swallowed hard, staring at me from behind the two men. We hadn't seen each other for only half a year, but I was looking so much better than when I was with the Su family. Those eyes that used to be so dim were now shining brightly. "Xiao Yu, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you like that. I always thought I didn't like you. Until you left. That's when I realized the one I truly love is you." As for Song Jingyan, he was just a tool I used to make you jealous. "So, can you please give me another chance?" She sounded just like a wife who finally realized her mistakes after years of doing wrong. Begging her husband for forgiveness. Too bad I wasn't some kind of husband waiting for his wife to realize her mistakes, so she could come crawling back. Listening to her response, my heart was filled with nothing but pure irony. "But didn't you say you only saw me as a little brother? You said I shouldn't have those kinds of feelings for you. You said that if we were ever exposed, it would bring shame to the Su family. You used Song Jingyan as a tool to piss me off and drive me away. Haven't I done exactly what you wanted? You're the one who caused all of this. And now, you're the one saying you regret it, Su Wanru. How could things ever be that easy?" Every single word I threw at her made Su Wanru's fingers tremble slightly. Back then, she only wanted to quickly sever my feelings for her, which was why she recklessly said all those cruel things. I thought I had long stopped caring about those past events, but when I saw Su Wanru again, and heard the memories in her words, that long-buried past suddenly burst out from my chest. "Su Wanru, you're asking me to give you another chance, but why didn't you give Emmy a chance? When our car flipped into the ravine, when I was begging you, crying for you to use the special medicine on me, so I could save my legs, why didn't you give me a chance? Why didn't you give me any hope?" As I reached the end of my words, I was trembling, on the verge of collapsing. The tears just wouldn't stop streaming down my face. My eyes were filled with nothing but deep resentment and hatred. We had known each other for 15 whole years. She clearly knew that my legs were like a second life to me. Yet she still told the doctor to give the special medicine to Song Jingyan, who didn't even need it. After that, I had terrifying nightmares for nights on end. Hearing my emotional outburst, Sha Jiacheng, who was right beside me, supported me, his heart aching for me. I shook my head and continued, Su Wanru, after going to the United States. I thought about it a lot, a whole lot. It's true that I was just too young back then. My whole heart was set on being with you, so I didn't even think about the consequences. I completely understand if you hate me or blame me. But honestly, other than secretly being in love with you, I haven't done anything wrong. So why on earth would you hate me so much? That you'd ruin my racing career forever? You kept promising you'd take care of me. Do you seriously expect anyone to believe that? Su Wanru desperately tried to catch her breath. But my words were like a sharp knife, ruthlessly tearing her heart to pieces. She didn't know what to say. Back then, she was completely oblivious to her own feelings, only thinking that doing so would make me give up on her. That's why she said those cruel things. Besides, she was about to marry Song Jingyan, completely unaware of his true colors. She figured that even if I couldn't go out to work anymore, she could easily support me with her abilities, and she thought Song Jingyan definitely wouldn't mind either. But now, everything has changed. She wouldn't even dare to say something like that anymore. I tilted my head and looked behind her. Someone was cowering there, hiding in the shadows. One look and I knew it was Song Jingyan. Remembering that he was the real bastard who broke my leg, I let out a cold laugh and called out loudly, "What are you doing hiding over there?" Su Wanru turned around, and her face instantly darkened. Song Jingyan had actually followed her. "Get back home, right now." Song Jingyan was already furious after hearing everything she had just said. Now, being yelled at by her like this, he stopped holding back. He stood up and marched over, trying to grab Su Wanru's arm. But she quickly dodged him. Gritting his teeth, he glared at me, looking me up and down before finally fixing his eyes on my leg. He said casually, "Our club was this close to securing a sponsorship from the Feng family. We were training perfectly fine, but then the coach walked in and said the deal was off. I asked around and found out, it's all because you can't race anymore. So you couldn't stand seeing the club succeed and made the Feng family cancel the sponsorship. Xiao Yu, you really are as selfish as ever. Shut up. Such great manners from the Su family. What nonsense are you talking about?" Su Wanru didn't even care about her own physical condition, and slapped him hard across the face. Song Jingyan was knocked right to the ground, his face instantly swelling up. "If you don't know how to speak, then keep your mouth shut. No one will think you're mute." Su Wanru instinctively wanted to chase after me, but Song Jingyan suddenly shoved her hard onto the ground. "Wanru, I am your husband. How could you try to win back another?" Su Wanru collapsed onto the floor, blood pouring from her stomach and pooling all over the ground. Only then did Song Jingyan remember she was pregnant. Panicking, he frantically called an ambulance and rushed Su Wanru to the hospital. When Mother Su heard the news, she rushed to the hospital and viciously slapped Song Jingyan across the face. Throwing all her elegance out the window, she cursed at him for the very first time. "Why the hell did you have to go out and cause trouble?" Mother Su had been resting peacefully at home when the butler suddenly ran in, saying that Su Wanru was in the hospital. Terrified that something might happen to her daughter and grandchild, she hurried to the hospital, only to bump straight into the Feng family's servant at the entrance. That was when she found out what kind of idiotic thing Song Jingyan had done. I was no longer just the adopted son of the Su family, but the son of a diplomat. Now, the Su family's status had completely hit rock bottom. They couldn't afford to mess with me anymore. Not to mention, when Song Jingyan was cursing me out, the grandson of the Feng family was standing right there. The exact same person ordered to arrest Su Wanru last time. It was Feng Ziyu's uncle. Once he found out that I was perfectly fine, Su Mu raised his hand and delivered a vicious slap, turning around to give Su Wanru a hard smack across the face too. "Do you have any idea who Xiao Yu is now? How dare you even think of crawling back to him? Su Wanru, after all the sick things you've done, do you honestly think he'd ever forgive you?" "Mom, I know exactly what I'm doing. Are you trying to drive me to an early grave?" Those words didn't bring Su Mu any peace of mind at all. Instead, they made him clutch his chest in sheer panic. Without another glance at them, Su Mu stormed out of the house in a blind rage. "Drop those delusional thoughts right now. The baby is gone, and there will absolutely not be a next time. This miscarriage was actually a massive blessing in disguise for him. Now he doesn't have a single string attached, and can come running back to me without a care in the world." Seeing Su Wanru's face completely darken, Song Jingyan gritted his teeth in pure resentment. On the day of old Master Feng's birthday banquet, the venue was absolutely packed with guests. After presenting our birthday gifts, Sha Jiacheng and I pulled over to the side, quietly whispering about our plans to go pray at the temple. "It gets pretty chilly up in those mountains. You'd better remember to bundle up. Oh, and they serve vegetarian meals up there, so just pack some water and a few biscuits. Sounds good. Suddenly, a dark shadow fell over us. He looked up, only to find Su Wanru standing right in front of us. What the hell do you want? Are you two heading to the mountain temple just outside the city? Wow, I never knew you had such a creepy habit of eavesdropping. I couldn't even be bothered with her nonsense. Grabbing Sha Jiacheng by the arm, I turned and walked away in the opposite direction. Su Wanru tried to chase right after us, but someone else pulled her aside. For the rest of the entire banquet, she didn't get a single chance to speak another word to me. Out at the mountain temple, the early morning sky slowly began to brighten and the fog grew incredibly thick. Massive, heavy clouds of white mist rose up from the ground, completely swallowing the entire path. Sha Jiacheng and I took it step by step along the old stone path, slowly making our way up to the temple at the peak. The faint sound of Buddhist chanting and the deep, echoing ring of a distant bell drifted toward us. Inside the temple courtyard, towering ancient trees reached for the sky, and thick green moss blanketed the stone slabs beneath our feet. A gentle breeze swept through, rustling the falling leaves with a soft, calming whisper. The bronze bells hanging from the eaves trembled and chimed softly in the wind. I took a slow, deep breath, and settled down on a stone bench in the corner, watching Sha Jiacheng act like an overly curious little kid. Peeking around every corner and exploring every little detail. It was supposed to be such a peaceful, perfect moment, until Su Wanru showed up and completely ruined it. Talk about a relentless nightmare. That was the very first thought that crossed my mind, as I watched her marching straight toward me. Xiaoyu, can we please just sit down and talk? I honestly didn't want to waste a single breath on her, but then I remembered I was heading back to the States soon. And what if this psycho actually followed me all the way there? I figured I might as well shut her down for good right now. So, instead of walking away, I leaned back down into my seat. Fine, what do you want? A desperate spark of hope flashed in Su Wanru's eyes, and she immediately moved to sit right next to me. But I instantly shot up and walked away, only stopping once I reached the shade of a massive Bodhi tree. I glared at her as she pathetically scurried over. I'm on a tight schedule here, so spit it out already. Su Wanru took a shaky, deep breath, and desperately spilled everything she'd been holding in for the last 6 months. She swore she never even liked Song Jingyan, and that playing pretend with him was just a sick act to make me finally give up. She even claimed she had absolutely no idea about all the horrible things Song Jingyan did to hurt me, which was why she chose to save him first back then. After all, he was my fiancé at the time. She pleaded, insisting that their marriage was just. We never actually got married. That baby, it was just an accident. My mother was the one who wanted the baby. And anyway, I've already lost it. She promised to kick Song Jingyan out right away. In short, she just wanted me to come back. She wanted us to go back to how things used to be. For the first time, I took a really good look at the woman standing right in front of me. She looked exactly the same as she always had. So why did she feel like a complete stranger? Wanru, I don't care what your reasons were for getting together with Song Jingyan. The truth is, you hurt me. Deeply, and let's be honest, knowing Song Jingyan's cowardice, he never would have dared to lay a finger on me. He only got away with it because you enabled him. You were the one who pushed me away first. You froze me out and you broke my heart. That's why he thought he could hurt me too. Honestly, you two are perfect for each other. Su Wanru's face went completely pale. She never expected me to tell her she and Song Jingyan belonged together. Because she didn't even like him. Especially not after finally seeing Song Jingyan's true colors. Now, she was absolutely disgusted by him. But I didn't even bother looking at her. I just kept talking. You pushed me away first. You're the one who killed my hope. I really did love you back then. Because when I first came to the Su family, you were the first person who was actually good to me. You were my whole world growing up. That's why I fell for you. But, once you shoved me out of your life, and I finally saw the rest of the world, I realized something. I don't actually need you. You and Song Jingyan did so many sickening things to me. And now you think just saying, let's start over, magically wipes the slate clean? You want me to take you back? That is never gonna happen. Because of you two, my leg is ruined. I can never race again. And as long as this leg still hurts, I could never, ever forgive you. You know, Wanru, sometimes you are so incredibly selfish. You act like you care about everyone else, but deep down, you only ever care about yourself. Just to get rid of me, you turned your little fake romance with Song Jingyan into the real thing. And now, just to win me back, you're swearing you never even loved him. In your mind, we aren't even people. We're just toys for you to use however you want. You used to promise that I was your #1 priority, that you would never hurt me. Su, Wanru, you broke that promise first. So what gives you the right to beg for my forgiveness? Every harsh truth hit her one after another, making her slowly close her eyes. The words she desperately wanted to say suddenly died in her throat. A bitter taste filled her mouth. Suddenly, her mind flashed back to a long, long time ago. To the night I was too terrified to sleep. She had sat right by my bed with a little teddy bear, telling me bedtime stories. When the story was over, she gently placed the bear right next to my pillow. And she promised me with absolute certainty, "I'll be just like this bear, okay? Your big sister will protect you forever. I will never, ever let anyone hurt you. You will always be my number one choice. You're just humoring me." "No, I'm not. Come on, let's make a pinky promise. If you ever actually hurt me, I'll never, ever talk to you again." Silent tears slipped down her cheeks. Su Wanru opened her eyes again, staring blindly at the man standing in front of her. But I had already turned my back, walking down the mountain without a second glance. "Xiao Yu." I paused for a second. I stopped walking, but I refused to look back at her. Is there really no hope for us at all? I just kept walking, completely disappearing from her sight without ever turning around. Su Wanru finally buried her face in her hands and broke down sobbing. Wanru. Song Jingyan's eyes were completely empty now. All his previous hatred and bitter resentment were gone, replaced by nothing but an overwhelming sorrow. In the past, just to use Su Wanru to climb the social ladder, he had done every despicable thing imaginable. He had even thrown away the only person who ever truly cared about him. And after finally becoming the wealthy son-in-law everyone envied, he realized that the woman he had given his entire heart to, her heart had long been occupied by someone else. His eyes were filled with nothing but confusion and helplessness. Especially after overhearing our conversation just now, the harsh reality finally dawned on him. Su Wanru loves absolutely no one. She only cares about herself. And all his sacrifices over the last 4 years didn't even earn a single word of thanks. It all just turned to dust, blown away by the wind. He knew that if he were in his right mind, he should leave Su Wanru immediately. Leave the Su family behind. But now, the Song family had cut all ties with him. Her parents completely despised him too. The absolute only thing he could do was to cling desperately to the woman standing right in front of him. So, he swallowed his grief, looked at Su Wanru with pleading eyes, and tried to grab her hand. "Wanru, you still have me. Let's just live a good life together, okay?" But Su Wanru, acting exactly as I did just moments ago, didn't even spare him a single glance before turning her back and walking away. The very last shred of hope in his heart shattered completely. He knew it was over. I waited forever at the airport, until I finally spotted Sha Jiacheng rushing over. "What on earth were you doing? Why are you so late?" "I just swung by the hospital to enjoy a little joke." "What kind of joke?" Song Jingyan's love turned into toxic hatred, and he pushed Su Wanru straight down a mountain road. It gave her multiple fractures, because the rescue team didn't get there in time. Both of her legs had to be amputated. As for Song Jingyan, he lost his footing and took a nasty fall, completely ruining his own legs too. When her mother heard the news, she passed out cold from sheer anger. Her father went ahead and told the butler to throw them both out on the street the second they are discharged, just leaving them to fend for themselves. But sadly, before they could even leave the hospital, they got into another massive fight and rolled straight down the stairs. Both of them ended up in permanent comas. "Are you happy now? What does that have to do with me? The plane is about to take off. I'm going to get some sleep." I completely brushed him off and closed my eyes. The plane soared right across the sky.